a big thing. Don't play on tilt. All right. So.
I'm gonna mute your mics for a second.
All right.
And
we'll be back.
So tell us about the last time you were at the circus. Why are my newspapers never delivered on time? In your opinion, what is the tastiest color in the rainbow? Want anything from the deli? What is your political stance on politics? Are you the person stealing my newspapers?
So I'm here with Alec, and we're on the interview couch. So welcome to the interview couch, Alec.
Yeah,
thanks for showing up today.
Really great.
So you're actually a video game designer, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if people know that. So that's your day job. So what in particular has drawn you to Hearthstone? And you devote a lot of time to it. So like, what in particular about Hearthstone has gotten you to put in so much time to make a podcast, and you play? You're a legend player. So what about it? What is it about Hearthstone?
Okay, so I think Hearthstone, I didn't start till open beta, right?
Open beta.
Very end of open beta.
Okay.
And I wasn't even good yet. Like, my first season I played Freeze Mage up to, like, single digits. And that was, that was it,
that's it? Just single digits? That's it?
I thought it was really good, the game. I was not very good.
Okay.
But basically what got me into it, and I've always been into competitive gaming. I actually have a background, growing up I played in Madden tournaments. Then I transitioned eventually into fighting game tournaments.
Like Street Fighter 2?
No, I played a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, I remember that.
That was my game.
Like on a Saturn?
No, more like on the Xbox 360.
Right. I forgot. I'm an old man on the. Who made Saturn?
Sega.
Sega Saturn, right.
But so I was running competitive gaming, so like I did that for a few years, and then one of my friends, Hunter.
Yeah.
I saw that he played Hearthstone, because I just picked it up and I was like, holy shit, he's really good at this game.
Oh.
He was like, he had already hit Legend and everything. I was like, all right, I need to get as good as this guy.
So you make Legend every single month, which is pretty amazing. So is it fun for you, and how much time do you put into getting Legend?
So the way I've done this process, right? I think it's really about just I like doing it with different decks every season, or different classes.
I didn't know that.
I'm mainly doing those grinds because I really want to improve my game, right? Like the last season I did Druid. I think I did Druid 2 seasons in a row. Okay. And I was trying to get Golden Druid. I got Golden Druid.
Oh, nice.
But it's about like I knew my Druid was suffering. Like I would bring it to tournaments sometimes because I was like, okay, this is a great deck to bring to tournaments. But I made some plays. Like one time in ESL, I was doing very, very well the entire day. And then my Druid just stalled out. I was up 2-0 on like the round of 16, right?
Okay.
And then my Druid stalled out. So I know I had to improve certain decks, and I enjoy doing the grind because it really lets me learn all the intricacies behind a certain class.
Very cool.
How to play with like tempo with certain classes. It's all like a tiny bit different,
Yeah.
So I think that's
really interesting.
The beauty about Hearthstone is there's 9 classes, right?
Yeah.
So there's 9 ways to play.
So you can freak it every which way every month.
Yeah, totally.
So since you are a game designer, I saw on a on a Blizzard forum that they're actually going to come out with an API. So what are some things that you think you would like to see to come out of that API release?
In terms of like data?
And like what kind of stuff do you think would help the scene?
Do we need to worry about this right now?
No.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I mean, I've done some stuff like API work before in grad school, but I think some things that are going to be worrisome about Hearthstone is some of the information that's going to be revealed, and based on when cards are played on certain turns, what that win rate actually means. Like, what happens when Emperor is played on 6? What's that win rate, right? The API is going to really if there is an expansive API that's going to be able to, we're going to see those things, and then people are just like, if it's like crying more, like, okay, Emperor on 6, you give like an 80% win rate.
Right, that's exactly what I was going to think, and everybody will auto-include it, even if it doesn't fit in the thing. And
people would also just be like, okay, this is obviously broken. And Emperor might need a very slight change. I think Emperor's fine, but it needs like, slight modification. So I think it's actually going to be very scary for Hearthstone to see all this data.
Interesting. But they can also control how much they give out.
Yes, that's
so they can just get one thing that they could do is just give out like this is your personal win rate, right? Yeah. So kind of transitioning to the Golden Wisp stuff. So how did you decide to start the podcast?
Yeah.
And how do you and Hunter know each other?
So me and Hunter go way back, as I like to say it, but it's been like 6 years.
Okay.
We were fraternity brothers in college, but before
Alright.
that we were dorm. Like, we were in the same hall and everything.
Okay.
We were
Like freshman year?
Yeah, freshman year. We were
Nice.
in the same hall. We were very close, always, like, hung out together, you know. We were a very close-knit group. And then, so we both started playing, and I was listening to, like, Angry Chicken, right?
Yeah.
That was my first forte into
That's
podcasts.
everybody's first hit in the podcast.
The big one, right? And then I was really into Turn 2. It was on iHeartView, and it came out every week, and then it just went away. So there was no...
Yeah, I think it was gone before I started.
There was no competitive place to listen to, like, the tournament news and things that were going on. I was like... And that was, like, what I loved about
That's
the
what
game.
you were
Like,
into,
I was worried about, like, being competitive about the game. So I was like, Hunter, let's just do a podcast.
That's awesome, yeah.
We had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
Okay.
But we were like, let's do a podcast. This is what we like. This is, you know, we're pretty decent at the game. We both, like, I had hit legend my second month or whatever. And yeah, we sat down. He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then we just did it.
That's awesome.
If you listen to the first show, it's probably hilariously bad. We have no idea what we're doing, but
That's
it's
okay.
pretty great.
So, what do you hope your listeners get out of your podcast?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's been, you know, it's a conversation, right? About, like, I want to know what my listeners want, and also want to do our own thing. Like, it's always gonna be about competitive Hearthstone and
Right.
analyzing the game in a very, like, high level way, right?
Mhm,
Because
for sure.
I feel like that's just important, and that's, like, our niche,
Yeah.
right? At the same time, I do want people to get better at the game.
Right.
That's like one time we was doing, like, some coaching sessions, which you took
Yeah,
part in.
that's how we actually met. Is
Yeah.
I started listening to the Golden Wisp, and I really liked it. I sent you guys an email.
Yeah.
And then somehow you ended up giving me a coaching session, and after that I really took the initiative. Like, okay, I'm gonna get better. Not necessarily want to make legend, but I want to get better. I want to know the cards, you know. And so my first big tip that I got was I watched a Nymph video where he said the first thing you have to do, you gotta memorize all the cards.
It's true, yeah.
And so that was my first step, and then you gave me the coaching session, and, like, you were talking to me in terms of, like, okay, well, what do you value here, your health or the health of your minions? That was one thing that stuck with me. And after that, I decided to constantly improve. And, you know, now, like, you can see, like, I'm rank 5, 1 star maybe.
Yeah,
and so that's the best I've ever done.
You're doing very well.
Yeah.
No, so I do want people to come to the show and, you know, get their weekly fix of news.
Yeah.
Based on, like, the competitive scene, and then I also want people to improve. And I think a lot of our listeners have done that. One of our listeners, Jeremy, he hit Legend of the Month after we had a coaching session, and then
Nice.
I've seen that improvement, and I've seen people, like, listen to our cast and learn some things. So I definitely want to keep teaching in that sense, because I think Hearthstone is a beautiful game.
Wow, it's so cool.
No, it's really great.
So you guys are 50 episodes in. You've had some amazing guests. And what do you guys... Did you see the success? Did you see what was going to happen and that people were going to respond so positively?
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's... we're 42 episodes in.
40, that's close. You're 2 months away. That's like
42
That's like a
episodes in.
Thanksgiving present for yourself.
So I think one of the things that's really important to me is it's not about, like, being big. It's just about having a great quality cast, and we're still improving. Like, you know, we've had, like, audio issues. Every week we just want to get better.
Yeah.
And we want people to tell us what we can do better. I think me and Hunter actually we're both, like, you know, we went to really good school together, and we're both, like, perfectionists in that mindset, right?
Okay.
So we want it to be the best thing it can be.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're not about, like, financial success with it. It's really just, like, important to us.
And it's important to us as listeners.
Well, yeah.
And you guys, you know,
That's
keep doing
the
it.
best it can be. So that's really what we just want to do. We just want to keep improving and be, like, at a state where, like, okay, it's finally where we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're there just yet, but
You're getting close. So you guys are going to BlizzCon. I'm very jealous. I was there last year. It was really, really fun. So what are you guys looking forward to, and what are you doing there?
So it's gonna. So we are doing the World of Podcasts, which is at Calm Before the Storm, right?
Okay.
So that's actually the night before BlizzCon. So on the Thursday night, we're sharing our spot with the guys from Well Met. So it's gonna be
Peace to to Well Met,
Hey,
John.
if
What up?
anybody's out there, So actually, like, side note, if I can,
Yeah, please.
John, like, saved the show.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm not gonna get super emotional right here. I'll probably do it sometime later when I actually see John at BlizzCon. But like, Hunter left for a brief period of time, and John volunteered. He was like, "Hey, I'll help you out until Hunter comes back," and that meant the world.
And he did a great job. And you kept up your enthusiasm, and you guys are back. The team, the band is back together, which is great.
At BlizzCon, we're going to be doing the World podcast with the guys from Well Met, so we're producing like a little 15-minute segment together.
Okay.
And then we're just gonna be having fun, meeting people, trying to get people to listen to the show, and branding ourselves out there.
Nice. So, what can we expect from the Golden Wisp in the near future?
More guests. I think that's one thing we've been pretty good about is we've really made some connections within the esports scene that have allowed us to bring on really quality guests. Next week we're interviewing Powder.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're pretty excited about that. He's a really great player.
Yeah.
We had a Witta last week. He was
It
fabulous.
was like a brain overload, dude.
Yeah.
That guy was it was like a brain dump of information.
Super smart guy, right? So I think that's one thing I think that we've been really good at is really, when some guests come on to other shows and they're like the guest hosts. Mm-hmm. I'm not really about that. It's because I really want to break it down, get into their head, right? Get into their personality. Ask questions where we get really honest responses. Like with Karma, we were talking about the esports scene for women, and that was a great interview. What's it like for her? So I really want to get very personal with these interviews, and hopefully we can just get on that level where people can understand that these are some real people. Yeah, they're everyone loves Hearthstone, but I just want to break it down. Why are these people special in our community, and what makes them that way, right?
Oh, it's interesting.
So getting into it a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. So you guys focus on the competitive scene, and every week you guys discuss the meta on your show. I personally feel like I have seen the meta shift after you guys have recommended something, which is pretty impressive.
I don't think we have that big a sway.
So, in addition to that, there's the Tempo Storm meta, right? The meta report. So, do you think that the meta has come more predictable with the increase in popularity of the discussion that happens via websites, the Reddit's competitive Hearthstone subreddit, there's your podcast, there's Well Met, or do you feel like it's still pretty organic in the way it develops?
It's probably organic for 24 hours after Cards comes out. It's no longer organic. It's organic, and then a really good player sees something, he's like, okay, that's good, I'm gonna go post this or something.
Yeah, so
it's insane. The internet just does that, and it does it to other games too. When I was in fighting games, it's the combo came out, you knew about it within an hour. And that's the whole mystique of bringing secret tech to certain things is kind of gone, right?
Right.
But the one thing about it though that is beautiful is that I think we're really refining Hearthstone at such an accelerated rate that it's also forcing Blizzard's hand, right? It's also they have to make content again and again and again. Honestly, sure. I think Patreon's gonna get nerfed within the next couple weeks.
Before BlizzCon.
Before BlizzCon. There's no question. And just because, have you seen what's going to happen on Reddit right now? It's just
it's a revolution, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That Lothar post today was so upset.
People were talking about the Osaka versus Surrender game earlier. So the thing about the internet is that things just happen faster.
Yeah, it's metastasizes.
Yeah, exactly. Hearthstone, the internet's a catalyst for Hearthstone to get figured out, right? And I think it's brilliant in a way, but at the same time, you do want to watch the show and be like, oh my god, what is this?
What is this?
I think the last time I really had that, Lothar brought a really Control Hunter the other day, which was really fun. But I think when the really competitive play was Chalky brought 3 mil decks, right?
I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot about that, right.
There's still some surprises out there, but it does become a little bit tougher to get those because of the way we accelerate the game.
So, do you change decks to accommodate the meta, or do you just tech in certain cards while you're playing, on the ladder? Do you, feel the sway of, aggro, and then you'll change decks? Or do you tech your current deck that you're playing with, and you just look, last month you were playing Druid all month. Yeah. Would you tech in an extra Living Roots to counter the the meta, or would you just change to a kind of fully different type of Druid?
So I'm really about not changing your deck too much, right? I think there's small techs you can make to really sway the game in your favor. I love Harrison at the moment. I think that card is...
Yeah. I crafted him just for the meta right now.
I always love Harrison Jones. I think he's always a great add, especially for Druid in certain times. But I think when you tech too much, you really lose a grasp on how your deck performs. And it's really about understanding those 30 cards and why they're essential and why each one takes a spot. But the other day I found myself, why the hell am I running Living Roots right now? Because like it's not that aggro based right now.
No, it's not. It's so. I find it. Well, at rank 5, it's pretty goddamn controlling.
It's very mid range. Yeah. But at the same time, it just wasn't performing. Right. So was it like add a second one, take one out, and also like 2 Darnassus Aspirin, had to evaluate that.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes people put tech cards in and don't really think about if they're doing anything. They're like, oh, I had this card for this situation.
Right.
Right. But is it actually performing? So I think you really have to keep stats about, okay, this card is actually making a difference against these matchups. Like one thing I think we saw last weekend was Nias with his lineup. He brought Druid, he brought Handlock, he brought Priest, right?
Yeah.
But he's specifically targeting against Patron. He brought Harrison every single deck, and he brought Acidic Swamp Ooze in 2 of the decks.
He was rocking an Acidic and a Harrison.
So that's when I think tech really does take you over the top, and I think that was he qualified for regionals.
Yeah, totally. Sonny Chrono, you want to try to flip that thing?
Oh yes, and also whenever you're ready, I got some questions from the chat room. You let me know when.
Okay, I think I have one more question before the wrap up. So I think you actually answered it with the championships just around the corner.
Yeah.
A lot of so this is slightly different. So a lot of people are saying that we might not see the real TGT influence until after BlizzCon, when people are bringing a little bit more relaxed kind of innovative style. So do you agree with that? And who are some deck builders that you're excited to see their work?
Okay, so the thing was, if you looked at the lineups last week, like the main dominant decks were Druid, Druid, Handlock, and Patron. Right?
Yeah.
There's a rock, paper, scissors just inherent in that. You have your Rochambeau.
Yeah.
The thing is, people think that those are safe. And they also had to submit the decks a little earlier. It wasn't like the day before. Right? So they submit the decks a little bit earlier, so there wasn't much time to prepare. I think things that are coming out, I think we talked about this a little bit the other day on the show, but Tempo Mages see some change, right? Tempo Mage is very good. I liked what Fire Rat was doing with Tempo Mage. So I think that deck's going to see some more revolutionary stuff like happen. It's an influx of new TGT cards. Like Ronin seems like a great fit. We'll see if that actually sticks around.
Yeah.
I think Seeker's Paladin isn't completely figured out yet. That's a super important card. That deck has such an impact on the meta. And then if we do see the Patron nerf, hopefully it's not. I think the deck will be around no matter what.
Okay.
But if we see the Patron nerf, other decks will be able to kind of come up a little bit.
Slide up.
There's so many decks that are just. You can't run Shaman in this meta. Are you crazy?
Well, yeah. Look what happened at ATLC. That did not go well.
Yeah, that mech Shaman, from RDU
did not work at all.
Yeah.
All right, you got a question or two?
Yes. Diego Centric asked you, and you actually touched on it.
Yeah.
How would you nerf the Patron?
How I nerf Patron? Okay, so I think Warsong could do the effect of if a card goes above 3 attack, it doesn't have charge anymore.
Right.
I also think the simplest thing they could do is just make Fire Berserker have 3 health. Like, if you make Fire Berserker have 3 health, maybe it's a 3/3, or...
It doesn't get that triple charge, it just gets a double charge.
Still kind of problematic. At the same time, you could also do something like Fire Berserker could only get attacks, the buff from your own
side,
minions.
right.
Yeah.
So that's another one that I've heard.
Which is, like, rarely people already play around it.
Right.
But at the same time, that would make a difference.
Well, that was Lothar's point in his rant today on Reddit, was like, I slimmed my board down to like, I was like, he was playing super tight, like 2 minions, trying to play around Patron, and still got punished from 30 health.
Yeah, so the deck, I actually don't really have a problem with Grim Patron as a card. I think that card's fine. I think it's the other tools in the deck that really allow it to be way too explosive. If you're at 60 health and you can die, that's ridiculous. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the deck is called Patron Warrior, but it actually should be called like a Frothing Warrior, the Frothing Warrior, Warsong Warrior. Warsong Warrior.
Do you have any other questions?
I have 2 more.
All right, cool.
Dragon Rider DK, what is your best advice to figure out your own misplays?
All right, so to figure out your own misplays, unfortunately, I don't think you can actually do it by yourself. So I think you need to play with a friend that is.
You guys talked about that yesterday.
So me and Hunter we'll do a queue sometimes, and he plays very differently than me. But at the same time, we also point out each other's misplays. So we were playing. I wanted to do a play. He's like, wait a second, that's not right. And then we evaluate it and we talk about why and what the opponent could play the following turn that could be a response to that. And we ended up at the best play. So I think you can't do it all by yourself because then you just think that your play is going to be the best play every time when that's actually not true.
So you guys gotta coach each other.
Yeah, so playing with other people and talking about your plays is probably the most important thing you can do in this game.
Cool.
Last question. Winter Frost Owl inquired whether you were a game designer. NYC Micah said you are. We talked a little bit about Pop the Lock.
Okay.
And specifically, the question was, what games have you designed?
All right, what games have I designed? So Pop the Lock was one of the games I helped. My boss mainly did most of the design work on that.
Mm-hmm.
But games that I've designed, other ones are called Zaga, Z-A-G-A. There's a game called Smove, S-M-O-V-E. And I held it. Yeah, so that's pretty fun. They're all like very minimalist arcade-like experiences. That's sort of what our company does. But
Cool.
yeah, that's sort of my design aesthetic.
Nice. Very cool. So do you want to tell people how they can tune into the Golden Wisp?
Yeah, so we record every Tuesday night. We put out the episodes on Wednesday, hopefully Wednesday mornings. And you guys can find us on iTunes. It's Golden Wisp. You can also follow us on Twitter at GW Podcast, or send us any feedback in an email to goldenwispodcast@gmail.com. Kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, totally. not as easy as Chef Sasha's show. Yeah. And I have one last question. So we had some funky pizza a few weeks ago. I think it was like grilled pizza, guanciale.
Oh, guanciale.
Yeah,
yes,
and thyme. So what's your favorite pizza topping?
My favorite pizza topping?
Asking the hard hitting
hitting
question.
This is like the hardest. I can talk like Hearthstone all
defines the rest of your career.
And now, like seriously, this like means so much to me. You know what? I think you just can't go wrong bacon on anything.
Bacon.
So,
all right. Very nice.
Nice
Excellent.
answer.
All right.
pizza, yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll get back to a little bit of finishing up some cooking, and maybe we'll play another ladder game. How's that sound?
Cool.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Oh wait, not ladder. We're gonna play the. We got our arena run.
Oh.
So tell us about the last time you were at the circus. Why are my newspapers never delivered on time? In your opinion, what is the tastiest color in the rainbow? Want anything from the deli? What is your political stance on politics? Are you the person stealing my newspapers?
Took all the bits.